We do have one turtle that has been in here all season. This is really cool, but I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Hey, Dylan here. This past summer, I was down in Belize at the Toucan Ecology and Education Society studying white-lipped mud turtles using radio telemetry. One of the questions we wanted to answer is, what do the turtles do when the river floods?
Middle of a flooding event at the swimming hole. I arrived here earlier, and when I was here, these pools of water were not connected. That plant on the right-hand side in the water was not touching water in the slightest. And just now, this pool started to create a river into that pool. We are tracking turtles via radio telemetry. We have 10 turtles tracked. There are currently about 5 living in this swimming hole area. One of them is in the pool right over here. We normally have one that's back there in a burrow that is completely flooded out, and we have 2 that go back that way into wetland areas. However, it seems they have moved too. We are tracking turtles to see how they move during flooding events, and we thought we arrived right at the end of one. However, this is right in the middle of one. This is really cool, but I'm trying to figure out what to do. I'm trying to go through a path right now that I cut about 6 weeks ago in order to access a culvert. Back then I actually realized I did not need to access it, but it is actually in pretty good use right now. So I'm gonna take some navigating through all this. I'm just being kind of careful. I rushed down here not thinking, so I am wearing Tivas, but there are fer-de-lances, coral snakes, and any number of biting bugs. This area is also fairly flooded. Coca, come on, stay back here, please. So this is a culvert. You can hear the highway right up there. This should be pretty easily walkable, but we're gonna find out pretty soon. Well, okay. This is a pretty good culvert. Okay, this is walkable. Cool, let's get across this. You can see it's pretty flooded. It's gotten a little bit worse. It seems that the turtles haven't traveled over this direction. I think I was getting bounced back from this wall. It seems like they're right over here, which is where they were normally, but I think I might have to get into the water. So let me get on the other side. So we were able to track one turtle. You listen for the beeps. He's definitely up underneath somewhere in this brush within probably a 3-meter radius. This is interesting because he did move up here. I'm just wondering if he moved up here because of the floods or if he moved up here prior. I currently have 3 turtles that I'm pretty sure went into the wetland area that way. They could be in any bit of this forest along the way, but all of them were pointing down that way at 6 gain, which that wetland I believe is about 500 to 600 meters away from the swimming hole. And this right here is another typical event during a flood. So normally this is a side channel next to the main creek, and it's usually pretty peaceful water. The flow is usually, I think, 1/10 of a meter a second. Right now you can see it's much faster than that. We do have one turtle that has been in here all season. He tends to move around a lot, but stays in here. So we're gonna see where he went during this flood. He's really close by to my current site. The gain on my radio is currently at 3, but we'll see if he's on land, in the water, or kind of just stuck somewhere. Right now there is a turtle in this area. The water is actually pretty hard to get through. I don't know how well you can see that. But honestly, it's pushing me along kind of well. He seems to be in this calm portion. My gain is getting down to about a 2, so we're gonna see if we can find this little guy. Do you hear that beep? So that's telling me that there's a turtle nearby. I'm tracking him with this. This guy is the one that moves around a lot, and it's really freaking cool. I just found him. He's off to the side. He's downstream from where I usually find him, but he's right here. So I didn't explain, this is a white-lipped mud turtle, Sternon leucostomum. This is one of our males, and he moves around a lot. It's every single time I track him, he's in a different location. He was up underneath this brush right here. So I just found one of the turtles. They Yep, they're definitely moving a whole lot. The hard part is trying to figure out if it's because they're trying to get out of the burrows and onto someplace dry, or if they're trying to get out of like these rapids right here. Pretty much every turtle I've seen has been in very low, slow-moving water. They definitely do not like to be in the rapids or anything that's fast. So when it's something like this, I definitely understand why they'd move. The only thing that we want to know is how far do they move and where do they move to? We don't really know if they're going into areas to breed during flooding events, if they're digging up in the mud, or if they're making new burrows. These flooding events are pretty extreme. Last night it had, well, we were out till about 1 a.m. flushing frog stomachs, trying to see what they were eating. And it had started to rain pretty much the whole night. And right now there was a good rain up until about noon. And we got the first break in it, so I immediately ran down here. We really haven't gotten a single flooding event that I've been able to track while I'm here. And that's what really sucks. That's what we really want to know. And so far, really, we don't know anything about it. Seems to be pretty crazy though, because I know there's been reports of the waters rising about 2 to 3 meters during a single flooding event. Right, I've just tracked about 6 of the turtles that we have, 6 out of the 10. I'm on my way to our jungle swimming hole site. There's only one turtle that's been there, but it's also the only spot of the river that I can safely cross with my gear. We made a little apparatus to get ourselves across. So this is our jungle swimming hole, and hanging across it is our zip line system. So we built this about 2 months ago in order to get us across the river during flooding events like this. We chose this site partially because it's far away from guests and people, so it's a little bit harder for them to access and mess with the zip line, but also because it is an area of slower moving water, so if we fall in or something like that should happen, we can easily get out. Plus we do have turtles that come here pretty regularly. It is out of the way, so the hike is a little bit of a walk to make, but there's really no better site along this entire creek that we could do. So I'm about to go across it. Hey guys, so I'm back out here at the swimming hole the next day after that last flood. Vanessa and I tracked the turtles last night, about 6 hours after that first tracking. We found that a lot of them had moved back into the swimming hole area where they used to be back in that jungle. They were down in this little portion down here, this pool. There are about 3 or 4 of them down there. And this morning we got very different results. So 2 of them were staying down there, which I expected one of them to. He never leaves. One of them moved back over into their area, and another one is down at that little boulder over there. It's really interesting how quickly they move. So if you want to see, I just got the new water depth measurement. It was sitting at 125 right now. So that is about let me see, it was 165 yesterday, so 40 centimeter difference. And like, you can just see the difference that makes. All these rocks were hidden. The water was pretty much up to where I was standing. Like you can see this ridge right down here. They definitely disperse away from the water right during a flood, but then within 24 hours, they're roughly back to where they are. What's going to be interesting to see as we get more and more data is, do they go back to the same locations, the same burrows, or do they go somewhere else? We had one in a wetland area way back down that way that was sitting inside of a burrow for the last 2 months or so, hasn't moved, but now we're not even picking her up on the radio. So we think that she probably went way down to the village. That's where we notice a lot of turtles going, but what we really hope to see is if that is related to flooding events or not, because that would be really freaking cool. But yeah, so that's tracking a set of turtles during a flooding event.